about the changing landscape of the media industry. So where has it come from and where is it going? And we've got Kinga here, but really also she's got a crystal ball to look into to talk about the future. Kinga, where can people find you?
Hi, everyone. I'm on mediaspace.global, obviously, but you can reach me via LinkedIn and all major platforms.
So before you say obviously, you are one of the co-founders of mediaspace.global, aren't you? So explain to people what mediaspace.global is.
Yeah, actually, I'm the founder and the CEO of mediaspace.global. It's okay. And Mediaspace was born to connect people globally from the media, marketing, technology, and regulatory space. Because we thought there are lots of barriers to meet each other despite the digital world. So this is to join and meet people, not just profiles on Mediaspace. And we've got lots of different types of conversations, very serious ones to stay ahead of the market and obviously about trends and stuff like that. So this is an interactive next-gen social network.
So you I mean, you're on LinkedIn. But LinkedIn can be very noisy because it's lots of people. It's 950 million people all making a noise. Where you're a social network, but in effect for the media industry, so it's far less noisy.
Yeah, it's a vertical one for the media and advertising industry, but to be honest, we love LinkedIn and we use LinkedIn a lot because it has a different role. You can reach out to many people, can be seen. So that's about reach and more visibility, while mediaspace.global is about interactions and engagement and conversations.
And you actually do a lot of work in terms of trying to get people to network. So you move away from just being profiles to actually do online events where people can get. It's kind of what I would see as old school networking, though some people may think it's new. It's about getting people together and having those conversations face to face, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, what I find in general is that the basic demands from consumers, B2B or B2C, are the same, just the technical tools are changing. And yeah, there are those Web2 written social media platforms, and obviously there are the more interactive ones. And I believe we moved to an even more interactive, like, I don't like this metaverse word for obvious reasons, but I think we are moving to even more engaging technical solutions to network.
So you've been in the media industry for.
Oh, you want to know my age?
No, I don't know. Okay, we'll move on from that. Okay,
No, I
more than
think
5 minutes.
so. I started as a media planner and researcher in the 90s.
Right. And so what was the media industry like then, and how is it changed?
Well, it was pretty different because the incumbents were different: TV companies, big newspapers, print companies, and obviously when the internet came along, everything has transformed to digital. That's all history. So I think the biggest change is that there are different types of technologies for different kinds of engagement with consumers, business consumers, and end users as well. And it completely changed the value chain, completely changed how we educate, entertain, how we make business. But the most important motivation for being online or being a TV viewer is basically the same.
Because we're still watching TV, except that back in the UK in the 80s there was what, 4 channels,
Yeah, I think that was
and there's now what,
a global
150 or
phenomenon.
200 or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's fragmentation in the traditional media segment is one of the most important trends, and obviously the supply of websites and platforms is another one. So we've got a very complicated and fragmented media landscape right now with interesting trends in terms of concentration as well, and just having big gaps between big players and the long tail. I think that's everywhere, all around the globe.
Because I think that, you know, if you see that in media, the consumption of newspapers and magazines has dropped dramatically, but people are still consuming stuff. You know, I'm often seeing questionnaires on LinkedIn or Twitter which says, you know, where are you consuming your news, or you know, what and why do you consume it there? You know, and you know, there's lots of, you know, I use Flipboard as an app for. I've just come back from London on the train, and I'm sitting there going through Flipboard, but looking at news items. Whereas before, I would have picked up a newspaper at the Waterloo station and read that.
Yeah, actually, that's why I wanted to tell you that I started in the 90s, because I think it's a great comparison, and because of the speed of change in this so-called fourth industrial revolution that we are living in currently, is is this difference between the 90s with less media supply, different types of players. And in this current 2020s era, in this decade, I think it's in terms of the acceleration and the fundamental nature of change, it's like the 90s when the internet came. It's not the internet what is coming, obviously, but more of the virtual reality in very different forms, and new technologies, including AI. But I think the speed and the how to say, the volume of the change is as big as it was in the 90s, and it's important to make it conscious, because many people work, I mean, in my industry, in the media and advertising industry, like saying that, okay, there are certain problems that we need to solve. Obviously, companies need to make revenue, they need to be profitable, they need to grow, etc., etc., which is obviously the day-to-day operational approach, and all of us has some day-to-day job. But sometimes, and especially for leaders and those who want to make change in the industry, they just need to know that this is a very fundamentally changing time, and it means a lot of disruptions, and means a lot of opportunities as well.
So what changes are taking place right now?
One of them is obviously there is always a line starting with some new technologies. New technologies offer something more convenient to consume media, or that's very, very broad. So to entertain or to get news, information, or educate yourself. And when there is a new technology, obviously, it's followed by the audience. Normally, if the technological change is big enough, it's followed by lots of people. Then it's followed by money. So businesses start to be part of the change. And at the end of the day, there are regulatory changes. And why the 2020s or these days are, or these years are very important, because those changes that didn't happen when the internet started in the 90s or early 2000s, because the regulation just didn't catch up in time. So we didn't have new rules for the new players. They could grow. And obviously that's great to have new advertising services and better targeting, and lots of SMEs are able to advertise for little amount of money, which was not possible in the 90s, for example, when most campaigns, TV campaigns, print campaigns, were extremely expensive. So there was a barrier for the SMEs. That has changed with the internet. But at the same time, there are lots of things which are basic business things that are not, how to say, managed or handled. I mean, there should be fair competition among players. There should be copyrights or copyright fees paid. There should be place or space for innovation. And this is just a few examples that I have right now.
Yes, I mean, for me, an example is Facebook ads, where A friend of mine built a hold of his business on Facebook ads and was doing them for the tourism industry because he lives in Cornwall. And then COVID hit, and basically every single customer of his basically cancelled pretty much in a week. And then we have the situation where Apple comes along, and actually it used to be very easy to target people with ads, and now it's not. And he basically doesn't do Facebook ads anymore. He's gone to do something else. And that's just one of the things where within 5 years something arrived. It was very good. Then it got disrupted, and then and now if someone says I want to do Facebook ads, you've got to kind of say, well, why?
Yeah, what you mentioned here, and I didn't mention the privacy regulatory changes and sort of waves. I think that's very important because sometimes we just live our day-to-day life, your friend in Cornwall and everyone everywhere else, and we don't think of these big structural things because who needs a new regulation and that seems to be a bit disruptive for the businesses. But at the same time, there should be there are basic values which should not be disrupted, and I think that's what we're missing after the internet became a mass media or a mass platform, and now they are catching up. But the new thing is, or the thing is that the new disruption is already here. So we've got AI, which is great from any respect, but causes copyright problems, privacy problems, business problems, monetization questions. So it's just starting again, and I find it very interesting. And when I'm tired, I don't, but normally, like in my active work hours, I believe this is an extremely interesting time to live in, because the previous disruption the industry hasn't been recovered from the previous disruption, I would say, and there is another one. And I think it's very, very interesting to see if the current incumbents who were the disruptors like 20, 25 years ago, if they can move as winners in this new era, and can they still be disruptors, or there will be new winners and new losers, and obviously everyone is going to be some kind of a winner. So that's why it's interesting to keep an eye on these new things and to integrate whatever we can, learn from the tiny bits of this big change, because there is this, how to say, strategic framework level, but there is the day-to-day level. So if I can, for example, figure out that if we write an analysis on something and we can have tools to make a better analysis, that's great for us. I want to learn that. Obviously, I'm interested, and our company is interested in the transformational aspect as well. But I think it's very, very hard to keep up with these. So it's a mindset, I think, and that's what.
So where's the disruption? Where's the disruption coming from? Is that coming from startups?
Normally, it's I think the definition of a disruptor that comes out of the system. I wouldn't say the current guys like the AI companies. Obviously, they look like startups. I'm not sure they are startups in the way that you would decide an average startup is. But the thing is that they come from outside. They come from come with some new technology and some new vision. And in my mind, the disruption is true or relevant when it changes lots of angles. So it's not like there are obviously tactical disruptions, like you can run your, I don't know, campaign faster. That's fine. There is some new AI tool that probably didn't exist 20 years ago, and now we have them integrated in the systems. That's not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about the system level disruptions, and probably they are startups, but they are definitely not incumbents. and that's the main question what I'm very much interested in, if they will be the new Facebook, new Googles, or Google will remain Google, grow faster, bigger, and can maintain their position, which they gained for great reasons, because they did great things, and obviously they at a certain point became a gatekeeper and a big player, and obviously they had lots of more resources to run faster than others.
So what about the future, Kinga? What do you see happening in the next 5, 10, and 20 years? Because there's the metaverse, there's AI, there's new revenue opportunities, there's Web 3.0, there's social media. What's going to happen?
I don't have a crystal ball, but
If you did have one,
I think in 5 years many things will be very different in terms of how we work, how we serve consumers. If you are a publisher or a social media platform, actually I'm looking for new technologies to integrate into mediaspace.global. I dream of a technology that doesn't exist currently, which provide us with 3D spaces, immersive spaces, and 3D people being present online. It doesn't exist. There are immersive backgrounds and everything. I hope that in 5 years, MediaSpace will run on a different platform to became more natural and more human-like, and this, just speaking about this fourth industrial revolution again, I think that's what we can hope for, that our main motivation for running our businesses can be supported by better tech, for example. And obviously it's a question how the market powers will change, how current disrupted players like many publishers can survive, how SMEs can survive in this space, advertising and media space. I do hope there will be lots of innovators. It's not easy currently to come in to the market because it's very fragmented. I mean, the B2B decision making in the edtech space or media space. So obviously that's what we are going to deal with. But in general, I think if you are bringing a new technology, new solution in edtech, privacy, sustainability in the media and advertising space, it's not easy to reach out to decision makers and to grow big. So I hope that's gonna change, and I hope there will be, not sure about that, but at least I hope that there will be basic regulations which have fair competition, but not over-regulating, because that's just not too healthy. And obviously what I'm hoping as well is global rules, because we live in a global market. You and I or everyone else can be part of such conversations. And it's ridiculous that if you are in the UK, which is not the EU, and I'm in the EU, we have different types of rules from many respects. So as digital taxation is going to become global, I hope that there will be other kind of regulations, at least the basic rules set globally. But these are hopes, so it's probably it's not all going to happen.
I'm still I'm still waiting for the time when I can use a social network and have a conversation with somebody on a social network, and then ultimately have the equivalent of a Zoom or a Teams call with them. And because there's still this feeling that relationships actually take a long time. You and I have actually known each other. Well, we met in London, and that was the first time we met, though we were working together.
Right.
And I think there's this expectation. I go on lots of things where people say relationships take a long time. They don't, if you do it right. And I should be able to move from, I don't understand why Microsoft Teams isn't integrated into LinkedIn. Okay, so they're different organizations, but ultimately it's Microsoft. I should be able to move from LinkedIn to a Teams meeting very, very quickly. and that would accelerate work and the ability to achieve work on a global basis so much more.
Yeah, actually, in the message part, they offer video calls. So there is an icon for that. But yeah, they didn't think that further. And I fully agree that if there is a common purpose motivation, then any professionals can build a good trust-based business relation from anywhere. Basically, that's what you are doing, and we are doing on mediaspace as well. It's just not that obvious, and that's what I also find very interesting, that while everyone speaks about digital transformation, business transformation, people themselves didn't transform. They are still very analog. They don't attend calls, interactive sessions, and yeah, probably if we will have new technologies supporting it more, probably it will be another reason. But I think it's a mindset issue as well.
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah, Kinga, thank you so much for coming on and talking about the media industry and how it's changed and the future. And I'm glad that you brought your crystal ball along. That was it. That was good. I'm pleased about that. Where can people find you?
Mediaspace.global. Just look for my name.
And anybody can sign up. You don't actually have to be in the media industry, but anybody can sign up to it, can't they?
I suggest you to be a media or advertising or related tech regulatory person, because otherwise you will find it very, very boring. But if you are a media or advertising expert, professional, leader, and come from the related regulatory or innovation space, feel free to sign up. It's free to register, and yeah, we can find each other.
Fantastic. Kinga, thank you so much for coming on and talking about it today. It's so insightful. I said to you before we went live, one of the selfish reasons I do this is I meet lots of really interesting people and learn lots of things. And thank you so much for allowing me to do that and allowing the audience to do that as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Andrew says it was interesting as well. So
that's